Today, I would like to talk about the ethical implications of treating a cat what involves going through hard times or processes and procedures that require a certain adjustment, potentially both by you and your cats, versus simply letting them go humanely and peacefully. So, how do you make that decision? Let's discuss. Oh, honey. Hello, lovely cat parents. This is Palatani Belly Davis, feline holistic care and behavior specialist, helping you and your cat live extraordinary lives together by unlocking the secrets of natural remedies and positive training, because not having alternative options should not be an option. If you like with these topics, stick around, like the video, and subscribe to my channel potentially. I do love seeing my community grow here on YouTube, and if this content is useful to you, by interacting with my channel, you will help other cat parents discover my videos. So my soul kitty has recently crossed over, and it has been really difficult for me to adjust to daily life without him. I miss him immensely, terribly. After 18 years together, he was extremely special, and we had a very, very close relationship. So I feel that literally part of my identity has evaporated when his spirit lifted from his physical body. And I am not quite myself without my boy. So this is very, very recent, and I don't want to go deep into how I feel because I'm just going to cry, and you are just going to have a video of me crying in front of the camera discussing his passing. So instead, I do want to talk about how you can decide to put your cat through potentially a process of care that might involve stress or discomfort, learning new skills, getting out of your comfort zone, maybe financial costs, and for your cat, maybe accepting a level of care that was not necessary before. In other words, is it worth going the extra mile to prolong your cat's life? And when is it worth it? And how do you make those decisions? So, in the last few months, he was needing more care than before, and he was still having a great quality of life up to very, very recently. And even though we had a very big scare last year when he wasn't doing very well, all of a sudden he started to develop some symptoms that were quite worrisome. We managed to, I put him on a very intense protocol, and he recovered very well. And we had beautiful, lovely, many, many months together, extra months together, and he was doing very well, and his quality of life was definitely there. However, the level of care that was involved was definitely significant, and I did a number of things to help him out and to help him through getting older, and obviously facing the fact that a body starts to have issues when they get older, and we need to apply more care and more processes to their daily life so that they keep having a good quality of life and they keep living well and be happy. So this topic was also inspired by recent events that happened just a couple of days ago, and which I will tell you now. There is a little story here to share with you guys. And so on Sunday, a seagull, a wild seagull, crossed our path. Literally, it crossed our path. We were coming from a storage location where we were dumping some things and picking up some stuff, and we were coming out of that location, and this seagull stumbled in front of our vehicle. And so we stopped, and I said to my husband that clearly he wasn't very well and we needed to check him. And so we went and checked him or her, and I think it was a girl. So I will refer to this seagull as her because I think it was a girl. But yes, we went to see her and to check her, and we were able to actually check her. So that means that clearly she wasn't very well, because like she was seriously injured, because otherwise you shouldn't be able to actually catch a wild seagull. I sent my husband back to get a box, and because we were close to a storage location, then to a storage facility, we had some boxes there that we could use for this. And my husband came back promptly with a box, and he made some holes in the box, and that was very suitable to put a bird in distress. Even though I specialize in cats, I am very familiar with rescuing all sorts of animals because I've done this since I was a child, and I have developed skills that can be applied to many different animals. So, I stayed with her and with this bird, and I placed my hand there on her. And, my husband arrived with a box, and we put her in the box, and I took her home, and I placed her in a very comfortable, bigger cat carrier with some soft bedding. And very soon she was eating on her own and drinking. And we called her Amber, and I spent then I checked her a few times in the evening, and she was alert and she was fine apart from her wing, which was damaged clearly. Now, the next day, in the meantime, I checked which centers I could call to get some assistance because obviously she's a wild bird, so it's not really a case where you have a pet and you take her to the vet. In this case, I'm sure that there would be some sanctuaries or some people that would take care of an injured wild bird. And there is indeed a place that apparently takes care of wild birds. However, when I called them, first of all, I had to wait until like 11 o'clock. And then because they don't open before 11 o'clock. And then when I called, they say that basically they were so sorry, but they were full, so they couldn't do anything for me at all, like not even having a look at her. I would have driven an hour out to basically have them see this bird and put her wing right. And they said, because obviously the vets there are specialized in birds, in wild birds particularly, and they're specialized in these sort of things. They must have seen broken wings 1,000 times. So yes, that was the ideal location to take her there. But unfortunately, they didn't even offer any of these, and all they could offer was some advice after I actually asked for some advice. I do have a family of seagulls actually that come here and see us, and they bring their babies to the garden, and they hang around here every time there are new babies, which happens usually in June or July every year. This year they didn't have any babies, but usually they have babies and they bring them to us every year. So I've seen 3 sets of babies so far. So these little seagulls, I'm quite familiar with their behavior, and I was happy to take care of her. I didn't need somebody to keep her actually if they were full. I am very happy. I was very happy to take care of her for the following few weeks until she was able to fly again and go back to the wild. But I needed obviously some veterinary care because I was in a situation where her wing was badly damaged, and we needed to clean her up, and we needed potentially to sedate her to do this, and maybe to put a pin in her bones to stabilize the wing, and maybe put some bandage, and also provide her with some antibiotics and potentially pain relief. So if that was something that was suitable to the case. So obviously I needed some veterinary care. I couldn't do these things by myself. I can't operate a bird, with my hands. So I needed the vet to help me. Anyway, this center couldn't help me, didn't offer anything to me, and I then was advised to call the local vets, and which I did, and I called them, and they said, "Oh, our vets don't specialize in birds, so we can, you can certainly bring her to us, and we can euthanize her." And I was thinking, "Oh," I said, "Wait a second. I don't want to end her life. I don't want to kill her. I want to help her if it's possible. I need somebody to have a look at her and assess her." And they said we can't do that. So, which to me sounded absolutely bonkers, but I mean, surely somebody that has gone through medical school and veterinary medical school knows how to move a wing a little bit better than I do, even though I have had birds. Hello, darling. Even though I've had birds in my care before and I have dealt with birds as well, but I specialize in cats. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm a feline holistic specialist, and I have studied holistic cat care. I'm a doctor in psychology. I have studied herbal medicine and herbal supplements and herbs and zoopharmacognosy and nutrition. I have studied a bunch of things, but none of that is veterinary surgery. So yes, I can't assess a wound and open a bird, cut a bird open by myself. So I then called the local animal welfare, the RSPCA here, and which as well was absolutely no help and no comfort to me because apparently, it was hard to find a place that answered me. And eventually, there was not a charity shop, which obviously is not something that can help me in this case. And the center that I called, the center houses animals for adoption and also takes care of animals that get relinquished. And they also have an option if you have an injured animal, pastry, and which I did. And the option then proceeded to tell me that, okay, if I have an injured animal, then there is nothing we can do, and call your vet, and basically you're on your own. So I was very upset. I then called other vets, and finally I found somebody that could see us. And I brought the bird, brought Amber down, and she was quite alert, and she was drinking and eating as normal. She was, she didn't seem like she was too bad, apart from obviously having a wing that was damaged. So again, on the following day, she didn't do so bad, and she was quite nice actually with me. So the vet that I managed to see, she had a very dismissive attitude, unfortunately, and she said, "Oh no, I can see that she's injured. I think the kindest thing to do is to put her to sleep." And I was taken aback, and I was thinking, well, I'm here to try to find a solution. Can you help me? Can we do something for her? And she quickly looked at the wing, and obviously there was a wound there, and there was blood. And she said, "Oh, it's this wound is at the shoulder level, and it's." I think we should put her to sleep because it's unfair and it's cruel to basically try to rehabilitate her. And what if she doesn't fly after 3 or 4 weeks of taking care of her? And I said, well, what if she does fly? So, and she said, no, it's basically too cruel. And even if she did fly, you then, you have to put her through 3 or 4 weeks inside a carrier and inside a container. And she's a wild bird. She's meant to fly. So this is cruel. And obviously, I do respect veterinaries, a vet's point of view, and I do understand where she's coming from. But at the same time, I've also seen birds that, even wild birds, that have been put through rehabilitation. And yes, the ideal thing is to put them in a place that looks natural and where humans have as little interaction as possible with these birds so that they are fully rehabilitated in a place that looks still wild, and they don't feel stressed, and they don't feel that they have to make contact with humans to get over this period of time and the healing process. But we also have to do with what we have, and we have to make the most of what we have. So I don't have a bird rehabilitation center set up in my house, but I have a garden that I can give her and to exercise. And I also have a secluded place where I could keep her. I could have fed her. I could have taken care of her wound. I could have done a number of things. Okay, so I've seen birds that have been rehabilitated, and they have been involved in a home care situation, and they were pretty happy to to live there afterwards, whether they gained the ability to fly again or not. And when I shared that with this vet, she asked me, well, but were they really happy? Well, if you ask me, I haven't asked those birds if they were happy. But to be honest, I have seen really sad birds, and they didn't seem it. They didn't seem sad. They seemed pretty happy to live a safe and comfortable life, even though, yes, some of them couldn't fly anymore. And I understand that for a bird, flying must be pretty important. They have wings to fly, and it must be amazing to fly, and it must be their call of life to fly free. But then, I did also pose a question to this vet, and I did say, like, I understand that given my recent really, really important loss here, I really didn't want to end her life. And I also understand that this event has been particularly raw for me because of my recent loss that was very, very close to my heart and really heavy for me. So, but I also knew that I could not care for this bird without a cleanup and a bandage. And anything that I could do to help this bird, to help Amber, could only take place after we took the chances of infection down to the minimum and offered her a clean slate to start the healing process from. So, anyway, so basically, what happened was that this vet went home for some reason, and another vet came through, and she did assess the wound further. So she said that she couldn't clean her up and go through the process of doing the x-rays and assess her properly because the risk of infection was so high. And basically, she said there is no point in going forward. So please release her to us, and we'll put her to sleep humanely and peacefully, which they did. I had to sign her off and release her to them, and this is what happened. But the thing that really disturbed me was that the bird was deemed basically unable to be rehabilitated even before the wound was assessed properly. And also, I felt that the attitude towards life in general and helping her out was quite negative and dismissive in terms of, I'm sure they don't put animals down happily. I'm sure of that. I believe them when they said we don't like putting animals down and we don't do it liberally. I believe that, but I also feel that the judgment whether the bird would be happy or not was who can decide if the bird can be happy or not? I have a three-legged cat, and she is 8 years ago when she was taken to the vet because she had a bad accident with a car and they ran over her. And she was taken to the vet, and the vet at the time also wanted to put her down because what's the point? She had to lose a leg, and obviously her life wouldn't be normal after that and wouldn't be like the other cats. And so, what was the point? And they advised to put her down. Instead, we stepped in and basically we adopted her, and so they fixed her and we adopted her, and she honestly is the happiest cat I've ever seen. She has this incredibly resilient attitude, and she is just amazing. I mean, Peggy, my tripod, she is such a strong, resilient, very caring, very happy cat, and she climbs the wall furniture just like the other cats. She climbs the cat tree like the other cats, maybe with a little different body movements, but she climbs everything. She runs everywhere. So to be honest, yeah, I mean, was it the right thing to put her through a rehabilitation period where she had to be operated and obviously put under a therapy of pain relief and everything else, and she had to heal from a wound and all these things. Was it worth it? Well, she's had 8 extra years now. She's 9. She had 8 years in our care, and she has been so happy with us for all these years. And she has moved country with us, and she is living with her brothers and sisters from different mothers, of course, and they're all rescued, my cats. But yes, I mean, was it worth it? Absolutely, it was worth it. So first of all, I did ask the vets, what do you think when people have um, accidents? Like I posed the dilemma that this was no different from persons coming out of a bad accident without legs, for example, and because aren't humans happier when they can run and walk and move independently? I can think that maybe that makes somebody very happy. And the vet said that, oh, but it's different for humans because we have books to read and music that we can listen to. And I was thinking, well, I honestly think that is not that different. And I think that there is an adjustment that people have to make after, for example, there is a serious accident, and that animals also have to make that adjustment just with different resources and with the resources that they have. We have a tendency to linger on things and to dwell on things and to think about the past a lot, where animals live in the present, and they are just happy with what they have. So I don't think there is necessarily a skill that they lack when it comes to having to adjust to a life that is different from what it was before. If they are safe and cared for and fed, and they can live a comfortable life and a life that has some sort of enrichment in the place where they live. So obviously they when I think of a bird in a cage, then all the birds in cages that people have as pets, are they really happy? Because they also cannot fly. So if I had a bird personally, which I did in the past before I had a gang of cats, obviously, I did have birds when I was younger, and they flew free in my house, and they were inside, but they had the ability to fly from room to room. And then they were trained. I trained them to come back to the cage for the night so that they could rest, and they were inside their environment for the night. But then in the morning, I would open that cage, and they could fly around the room. So and be with me. So it was a pretty interesting life for them. Yes, they were probably not as free as the birds outside, but they also were not in any harm. So there was a trade-off there. So I felt that it was ethical to keep birds that way. So anyway, besides the birds, because obviously we're here to talk about cats, um, yes, I felt upset at the lack of help, that to say the least, of course, and the judgment whether this animal would be happy afterwards and whether it was worth it going ahead with any sort of treatment. I understand that the wound might have been too bad, and that I totally understand. If that's why I had to rely on a vet to tell me where we were, because I cannot assess a bird's wound with my training, and I had to rely on them telling me if it was too late or if it was too bad. But having said that, so this I totally respect and understand. But Amber was pretty tame with me, and she was coming close to me to eat and drink. And seagulls are renowned for having more contact with humans as well. So I don't think it would have been such a trauma for her to be cared for by me, by myself. So as I said before, I know that my recent loss definitely has made this event more raw for me, but this has definitely upset me, and it has obviously reawakened all the emotions that were that are have been involved every time I think of my cat that I have just lost. And well, I'm happy that my own vet in the that I have in the this was not the vet that I usually go to, and my own vet, I am super happy with him. He is amazing, and he he is a real asset in my cat care team, and I discuss with him the options that I bring forward, and he discusses the options that traditional medicine can bring forward. So I have a very, very good relationship with my vet, and I love him so much. So I wanted to make some considerations here that might help you make those difficult decisions a little bit easier, because when you are wondering if it's worth upsetting your cat to help them heal, and how much you can upset them, and what if I have to keep my cat caged for a month, what if I, because he has an injury on a leg, for example, or what if I have to syringe feed my cat because he's not eating, and will I upset him too much, and do I have to put my cat to sleep then because the vet has said, for example, that my cat is not eating, and there's going to be a decline, a very fast decline ahead. So it's better to just put them to sleep peacefully. Now, is it worth it? So I have thought of a few elements here that need to be considered. First of all, is the value of life. So every animal's life, everyone's life here. Has intrinsic value. So making an effort to rehabilitate a pet or an animal, for me, animals always deserve a chance to recover and thrive. And do they all recover and thrive? No. But that's the second point that you bring to this issue and to this discussion, and it's considering the quality of life and the potential for recovery. So for the potential for recovery obviously is important. You want to go through a period of time where there are some efforts that need to be made, and there are some things that need to be put in place, and you need to make maybe a bit more time to care for your injured or sick cat. You might have these financial commitments to make, and some a little bit of a stretch during that time. But if you see a potential for recovery, absolutely it is worth it. 100%. And also remember that as a guardian, you have a commitment and a responsibility, a duty of care, where we have a responsibility to care for our animals through their health challenges. So this commitment, very often, it means seeing them through tough times to provide them a chance at a better life. And obviously, there is also the quality of life post-rehabilitation to consider, meaning that, as I said before, the end goal of rehabilitation is to enhance the animal's quality of life in general at the end of it. So obviously there has to be a reasonable expectation that good times are ahead, and a pet will live comfortably and happily after being taken through this process. And that makes it totally worth it, absolutely. And if you just have a doubt, and but there is a chance for your pet to, and your cat in particular, to have a good quality of life afterwards, for me, it is 100% worth it to go through these times of extensive care. Also remember that there have been many improvements in veterinary medicine. So with modern veterinary medicine, a lot of conditions that once seemed insurmountable basically are now treatable. So sometimes going through this extensive care for a period of time will grant a good result at the end of it, because veterinary medicine nowadays offers hope and possibilities that were not available in the past. Another thing to consider, I believe, is obviously moral and emotional considerations. Like euthanasia should be a last resort, in my opinion, and it is definitely a heavy emotional decision for any pet guardian. So if you have a pet, and you are a responsible guardian, and you have been there, you totally understand what I'm saying. And knowing that one has exhausted all the options for rehabilitation or care that can provide peace of mind, and reduce those feelings of guilt and regret, which obviously linger after a decision of this kind. Remember also that it's not all doom and gloom, and if your cat is going through hard times, health-wise, they might enjoy in some way their process of rehabilitation and care, because sometimes companionship and bonding are enhanced by a rehabilitation process or an extensive care process, because this can strengthen the bond between you and your cats for sure. And overcoming challenges together can lead to a deeper bond between you and your cats. So don't forget that it's not all doom and gloom. Sometimes these things that you need to do will bring you a gift at the end of it, because your relationship will change in a good way. And also, you need to look at your case as a unique case, because each situation is unique and decisions should be based on individual circumstances, prognosis, and the specific needs and temperament of your cats and animals. So obviously, there are factors that are not, you can't put everything under a blanket, and you can't generalize everything. So you need to make a decision based on your individual circumstances, of course. And also remember to balance suffering versus hope, because it is obviously crucial to consider the potential suffering during in a period of extensive care and rehabilitation. But it is also equally important to weigh the hope and likelihood of recovery. Ethical decisions should aim to balance these two aspects. And you need to do it thoughtfully. So in the end, whether you decide to go one route or the other, well, make sure that you have good support, a good support system, because being a cat guardian and caring for animals in general, particularly during times of sickness and injury and stress, is not for the faint of heart. And sometimes it requires extra resilience and definitely determination and a strength of heart. So you need to ensure as a pet guardian that you have a good support system and resources, so that this process can be more manageable and less stressful, both for you and for your cats. And remember to gather all the information that you need before you make a decision that is irreversible, because living with doubt and regret is not nice. So you want to make sure that you have all the elements that you need before you progress to make a decision that is unchangeable. If you are unsure on how you can support your cats naturally, or how you can provide extensive care involving things like fluids, oxygen therapy, ozone therapy, syringe feeding, oral medications or supplementation, red light therapy, nutritional adjustments, and so much more, I have created a program to help you get all these skills in place. And I offer live calls to support you as you learn, so that you don't have to go at it alone. If you need my help to jumpstart your cat's health and wellness, you can check out the Jumpstart, and the link is in the description below. I hope that this video was useful for you, and as always, I will see you soon. And until then, love your cats as much as you can.